Good morning, everybody. Welcome on in. I'm your host, Bull Muscle. Got ourselves a really good show for you today. Today, we're going to continue our tier ranking series. So this is where I tier rank a lot of different exercises, put short. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. Load up our, there she is. Perfect. Okay. Just need to move this to the proper location. We're gonna zoom in a bit here. That's much better. Okay. Let's see if we can just, no, that's not right. Other way. Perfect. Okay. So, what we've got today for you, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everybody in between, is we have tier ranking the different push day exercises. So let's get into it, shall we? Go ahead and pull this up because I wrote it down just so that way I had a reference point. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. Hopefully we've got people in from the Discord. Probably not. Looks like, interesting, nobody's there. I got told my mic was quiet the other day, so I am actually gonna check that as well. Just put my headphones in real quick and I'll know pretty instantly whether or not they were BSing me, it was on their end, or whether or not I need to change something. No, it sounds pretty good. All right, great. So I don't need to worry about that then. Terrific. All right, so push day workouts. For those of you who follow a push-pull split, your push day workouts are going to be ones that work, right? Your pecs, they're going to work your delts, primarily the front delt, but also the top. And rear delts you can either do on push or pull. There's an argument to be made for both there. And your triceps, right? These bad boys underneath. So with push-pull leg, on push days, we're gonna be talking about those three. This is the second in 3 videos. The next one's going to be leg day. We already did pull day. You can go back and watch that video. It was a couple days ago. So we go ahead and get started with our first one. New item. There we go. So for push, this one should be pretty obvious. Look, there's a reason the bench press is the gold standard, right? How many people talk about benching 225 as the big milestone, so to speak? It's bench press. What do you want me to say? It works. It gets the job done. It is simple. You are laying down. You are fairly isolated, but not completely so. Good bench press mostly relies on your pecs. You can vary it to a wider grip if you want to work more pecs, to a narrower grip if you want to work triceps, and we'll get into that. And it works your front delts a little bit. So all in all, pretty darn good. Pretty darn good. Next one. We've got, should specify, dumbbell bench press. Barbell or dumbbell, they're both excellent. There are pros and cons to each. Both are worth doing. The barbell bench press, you can work on peak explosiveness because you don't really have to worry about left-right balance as much. The dumbbell bench press, you can get a wider range of motion, a deeper range of motion, because with the dumbbells, you don't have to worry about the bar hitting your chest. So you can work a bigger range of motion, a little bit better hypertrophy, really get a good stretch on your dumbbells. And then for barbells, you can work explosiveness and power. So they work really well in tandem with one another. I alternate them frequently. Usually what I will do for my push days is I will have a chest dominant day and a shoulder dominant day. I'll do barbell bench press on the chest dominant day, and a shoulder dominant day I'll do the dumbbell bench press. It should come as no surprise that these two exercises are in S tier. Y'all really should have seen that one coming. Okay. Now, for shoulders, it's the golden standard, baby. The shoulder press, the barbell just basic barbell press. I prefer barbells to dumbbells on this one. Not by a lot, but just enough because it's a bit the gold standard in the same way that bench press for a barbell is. I guess under that, I guess we'd move dumbbell bench press to A tier. Barbell press and barbell bench press, they really are your gold standards. It is maximum hypertrophy or maximum strength explosiveness. Now there are variations of this you can do. There's the military press, which is, you know, your legs are completely locked. There's the push press, which relies on a little bit of knee bend. There's a bunch of others, but your basic bone stock barbell press, everyone should be doing that exercise. There's really no reason not to. It's the same thing with the barbell bench. That one pretty standard. So same way I'm going to do. Now, honestly, these are both S tier. I'd say barbell bench and dumbbell press also works really nicely because you can do it seated or standing. Pretty solid. Really just all together, two very good exercises. I would say much in the same way, right? With a barbell press, you got to worry about clearing the bar around your face. Right, with a dumbbell, you don't have to do that. So you can put the dumbbells a little bit further back. Works your mid delts a little bit better. Your standard barbell press is going to work your front delts a little bit better. Both are worth doing. There's no problems with either of those. Those are probably my go-tos for S tier. Now you'll notice I'm not putting any triceps first exercises up here. That's by no accident. The truth is, if you're hitting barbell bench press, and dumbbell bench press and then barbell press and dumbbell press, you are going to work your triceps a fair amount. You know, if you're locking out all the way at the top, guarantee you your triceps will get used. Same thing with a bench press. In fact, for me anyway, I've noticed I fail, right, if I'm bench pressing, right? I don't tend to fail down here. I tend to fail at about this point where my chest is strong enough to get it up, but my triceps can't quite lock it out. So you're hitting your triceps if you do any of these four exercises as well. Are you hitting them first and foremost? No, but that's okay. Let's move on to A tier. So A tier here, we're going to talk about the close bench press. The close bench press, I make a distinction here in particular because the close bench press is very useful for working your triceps. It's the same mechanics as the barbell bench press, except you keep your elbows a lot more tucked in and you're going to work your triceps a lot more. It's a really good one for focusing hard on your triceps, and I recommend it. I do close grip bench press very regularly. Okay, now we're gonna do, what other ones do we got here? Behind the neck press. Now, a lot of people say, oh, behind the neck press is really dangerous. You can really hurt yourself. You can get shoulder impingement or whatever. I've never had problems with it. I feel like it really, in the same way that a front barbell press is going to work your front delts, I feel like a behind the neck press is really good for working your mid rear delts a little bit. Very solid exercise. I recommend it a lot. There's also an insane good variation of this that's also going to go into the A tier. And that is called the Klokov press. So the Klokov press is a behind the neck press with a much wider grip, like a snatch level wide grip, almost as far out as you can go on the bar. What this does is it really forces you to get deep. You should be having this bar basically touching your upper traps all the way at the bottom. I find the range of motion from this, it's not as large as the behind the neck press, right? Because you can put it further up, whereas out here, right, it's not gonna be as much. But I find it really hits the side coming out of the delt there, just absolutely fantastic. Huge fan. It's named after, I believe his name is Alexei Klokov, Russian dude. Again, I won't give credit to the Russians for a lot of things, but when it comes to the lifting world, Russia in particular and the Eastern Bloc, what used to be the Eastern Bloc at large, pioneered a lot of incredibly good techniques. So strongly recommend the Klokov press. Give it a shot. Other exercises we've got here. Probably the other really great tricep exercise is the skull crusher. So the skull crusher is, there's really two ways you can work your triceps muscles. You can work them by pressing, either horizontally or vertically, or you can work them by just bending the elbows. The skull crusher forces you to lay down like that and bend your elbows. Really isolates. A good skull crusher, your shoulders should be moving basically not at all. So I'm a huge fan of the skull crusher exercise. Definitely very, very good for working your triceps. The only downside is that control the weight. If you fuck up with the weight, you can hurt yourself because the weight will land on your head. But you could say the same thing about the shoulder press, like the barbell press, the Klokov press, the behind the neck press. You know, just don't ego lift on those exercises and you'll be fine. Check your ego at the door. You know, for skull crushers, you shouldn't be doing skull crushers for sets of like 4. No, that's a set of 8 to 12 kind of exercise, right? This is by its nature, right? You're really isolating the tricep. The tricep is not as big a muscle or as powerful a muscle as some of your pressing muscles. It's just not going to be that strong. So use it accordingly. What ones we got here? This one absolutely has to make the list. Incline press. Either the barbell or the dumbbell, both excellent. The incline press, obviously, right? It's going to work upper chest and more front delts. Still going to work your triceps really well. Same thing. Really simple. Incline press is always a good winner. A lot of really good A tier exercises for this. All right, what else do we got? Okay, so now we're going to move to the B tier. Actually, this is actually a really good A tier exercise. Oh, this will be an A tier exercise. The pec deck fly. So we're gonna go try and consolidate this so it's on one line. Yeah, there we go. So the pec deck fly. So the pec deck is that machine where you come together like this and you're sitting. Usually these machines are almost all equal in quality, and so you don't have to worry about the issues that come with that. Now the weights may feel different from machine to machine, but you can hold it up at the front here for a while, really torch up the pecs. For a hypertrophy burnout exercise, I strongly recommend this. The pec deck, I think, in terms of flies, is superior to the dumbbell fly and to the cable fly, which we will cover. There we go. All right, let's just move on to B tier. Chat is quiet today. It's all right. Or just making sure we're still live. Sometimes weirdness can occur on YouTube. This is always the trouble with never having anybody, you know, saying anything in chat. Or maybe OBS is being fucky and people are chatting and I'm not seeing any of it. Both are entirely possible. Nope, we got 5 people viewing, but just, oh, cookies and cream just listening here. Thank you very much. And I appreciate that because, you know, sometimes you get paranoid. It's like, okay, am I having technical glitches or are people just quiet? Okay, great. So yeah, you know, I'm actually going to demonstrate this by going shirt off just because you can really see it, right? So with bench press, you're coming up here, you're pushing, right? I guess, you know, laying down. With an incline press, it's like this, you're still working your pecs, but with the pec fly machine, the pec deck fly machine, you really focus on bringing them together like this, right? That's gonna hit your chests something fierce. Pec deck flies, you shouldn't be doing sets of 6, sets of 8 on. Pec deck fly machine, you could be doing 12 to 20 reps. As a burnout set, sometimes I'll do 25 or 30 reps and hold it for a 3 count or a 5 count up at the front. Oh, Absolutely killer hypertrophy. Strongly recommend. Okay. So next up, for B tier, we're going to talk about dips. So dips are really good for working explosiveness on triceps. The trouble with dips is that, right, depending on your angle, you can end up working more of your delts and more of your pecs than you are your triceps, and that's kind of counterproductive. It's still really great, and you can get a really great workout from dips, but you have to be very careful of the form, one, and two, if you don't have a weight belt, you may find that dips end up being kind of useless at body weight after a while. You may find that doing body weight dips, you know, once you're able to do 20 with no real problems, or 20 and you're holding it for 3 seconds with no real problems, dips become less useful. So dips are a B tier exercise provided you have, you know, the correct equipment to actually get something out of them and you can get good form. So let's see here, we've got the JM press. So the JM press is another, the JM press is another excellent example of an exercise that it's much like the dips. Provided you can get the form right and provided you have the right equipment to use it, JM press is phenomenal for working your triceps. So what the JM press really is, imagine I'm laying down on a bench. I don't have a horizontal surface I can do this on, but the JM press is sort of a hybrid between a close grip bench press, right, and a skull crusher. It's basically kind of like a guillotine press. You bring the weight down to about your neck, and then you push it up. It really hits the triceps hard, but the reason it's in B tier is because the movement will feel awkward until you get used to it, so it's got a little bit more of a steep learning curve, and obviously from a safety perspective, if you fuck up, it can be really bad. Don't do JM press at heavy weight until you're very experienced with it anyway. Still a very good exercise. By the way, B and C tier exercises, there's nothing wrong with them. So S, A, B, and C exercises are usually the ones I will reliably incorporate into my workout. The ones I'll focus on the most are S and A tier. That's not to say, again, that there's anything intrinsically bad with these exercises. This is just my personal opinion, right? Body physiology is unique. So you are going to have different exercises feel differently for you, and you should take that into account. You can make your own tier list, and you can talk about how full of bullshit I am. Although my channel name is Bull Muscle. Thanks to Zep for this one. Bull Muscle, no bullshit. I need to find a place to put this in the background. I've got a couple really neat stickers that he sent me. I just don't have a place. I don't know where I'm putting them yet. Like, I've got this really cool Strong Like Bull sticker. I got to figure out where I'm putting all these. I think when my car comes, I'm going to put it on that. But anyway, the next one is going to be, let's see here. This is a good one. The pin press. So the pin press is a exercise where you take, you know, you're on a rack, a bench rack or a squat rack or what have you, and you put the safeties right at about face level or cheek level, and you do the press just half the motion. What this forces you to do is you can't rely on, you know, any explosiveness. It basically prevents you from cheating. Really useful for getting your maxes up. So I like the pin press a lot for that. Now, would I say I do it all the time? No, but when I use it, if I'm really looking to boost, you know, if you're having trouble kind of getting it this first half of motion, you're really getting stuck at right about face level, pin press can be the exact perfect thing for you to get over a sticking point in your motion. That's the really nice thing about pin press. You can really isolate exactly where you want it to be. So really recommend that. All right, let's go. else we got here? Front and side raises with the dumbbell. So front and side raises, very simple. You go front, you can also do it both arms, and then sides. You can also, if you're really feeling adventurous, find something to lean on. Lean over like, you say you've got a rack or something here. You can lean on the rack, which forces your body's over this way, so you can get a larger range of motion on one arm at a time. Now, it's slower to do it that way, but there are some benefits to doing it that way. So, big fan of that one. I think for good, again, hypertrophy, range of motion exercise, front and side raises, solid choice, and I prefer dumbbells over cables. What else we got? Cable overhead triceps extensions. So that's where you've got the cable behind you, and you're usually using a rope attachment. You're going like this. I think this is one where the cable completely demolishes the dumbbells. I feel a really good resistance, and I can slowly bring it back, or I can bang it out for reps, and it feels great either way. Strongly recommend this one. You can also lean a bit further forward and try it that way. I prefer really trying to stay vertical, isolating the elbows and not using much other than my triceps here. This is a good 12 to 15 rep exercise. Strongly recommend it. This one, I'm hesitant to recommend it B tier, but if you can get it, it's very nice. This is the katana extension, or the katana curl if you want to call it that. So this one's the same thing as the triceps extension, but you're using both cables and you're extending like that. Super effective for your triceps. The only downside to the katana extension is I would say it's actually even more effective than the cable overhead. The only trouble with the katana is that you're going to need two separate sides of the cable machine, whereas if you're in a busy gym, you may not necessarily have access to that. You may only have one. So katanas are great if you can use them, but it's going to be less accessible. Ovi did the thing. Let's freaking go. Love to hear it. Love to hear it. Next one is cable flies. Cable flies, I don't quite feel like I'm really able to squeeze the pecs as well on cable flies as I am with the pec deck. However, the benefits to cable flies are that you can go from high to low, you can go medium, or you can go from low to high. So it really allows you to work different sections of your chest. And for that reason, I think cable flies are an excellent hypertrophy exercise. I'd say, maybe alternate between pec deck and cable. I believe both are superior to the dumbbell fly, which we'll put down here. Now, dumbbell flies are again, C-tier exercises do not indicate a bad exercise, okay? Dumbbell flies are great. The trouble with dumbbell flies is that, thanks to the laws of physics, right, the gravity out at this end is going to put a massive amount of torque on your delts and on your pecs. It's going to be pulling a lot at the down position, but at the up position, right, there's virtually no tension. You're just kind of holding this up here. Whereas at the cables or the pec deck, keeping it up here, that takes work. It takes effort. It's a much more uniform feel. So for that reason, dumbbell flies don't quite make it as far in to the tier rankings as the cables or the pec deck do. They're still a good exercise though. Reverse cable extensions. So a reverse cable extension is where you've got usually a straight bar on the cable attachment, and you're extending like this instead, right? Usually you're standing up and you're going like this, right? You can see the triceps muscle flexing here. It is useful, but I don't feel like I get as great a workout on that as I do with the overhead extension like this. Still useful, I do it sometimes, but again, it's not quite as good. The Arnold press. So I love Arnold, and I mean, there's a reason he and Ronnie Coleman are probably the GOATs. I mean, guys like him, Bill Kazmaier, JC Hayes. Do you need a cable machine to do said workouts, or can you improvise? Well, that's why I'm giving you a giant list here. If you don't have access to a cable machine, there are loads of other options with dumbbells or barbells that you can look at. The Arnold press, usually you do with dumbbells, and you hold it right here. You could do this with cables. I've never seen anybody do it with cables, and I don't know why you would do it with cables. But you take dumbbells, you hold it in the supinated grip up front, and then you twist to bring it to the pronated grip at the top. I find that twist is a really good way to do range of motion, but it's not right. Don't be Arnold pressing for sets of 6. In general, I think a conventional dumbbell bench press is just fine. You're gonna work a little bit more power with that. There's a nice finisher. Arnold press is just fine. Ooh, this reminds me. Laying down side raises. So this is another one that Arnold pioneered. I actually learned this from watching an old Arnold video. If you're laying on the bench on your side like this, okay, you take a dumbbell and you bring it up and down like that. It's really going to work your rear delt. Now you could argue, hey, wait a minute, isn't that more of a pulling exercise? Yes. And this is the thing with rear delts. Rear delts you can really do either on push or pull day, depending on whether or not you feel, well, most rear delt exercises require a pull, like a face pull, so I'm going to do it on my pull day, or, well, it's a deltoid, therefore it's push. Rear delt is still a delt exercise. You can make the argument either way. I kind of do it as need be. Sometimes I do it one day, sometimes I do it another. But that one's really effective. The range of motion is enormous, and you get a huge stretch. The only downside to that one, it'd be a higher tier, is that you got to do it individual dumbbell at a time. So it takes a little bit more time to do a set. Other ones. Single arm triceps pushdowns. Single arm tricep pushdowns are really, really good because you can focus, you can isolate, you can even use your other arm to like block the elbow from moving that much. You can get a twist even to get a good little kickback on it. But because it's single, again, same thing as the side raises, takes a little bit longer. And I still think you could do overhead extensions and get the same workout with both hands. So still useful, and I still do it, but not as good. Let's see here. All right, let's move into the D tier because I've got a fair amount of these. Any Smith machine press. The Smith machine is great for certain things. It's really great for extending range of motions. For instance, or unbalanced motions. Doing a sissy squat on a Smith machine, terrific. Doing a bench press on a Smith machine, no. You really shouldn't be doing a bench press on a Smith machine unless you have no other option. You'd be better off doing a dumbbell bench press. The trouble with the Smith machine is that because it is on a fixed axis, you lose the stabilization and the balance that comes with a standard barbell bench press. And the same logic applies for, even more so perhaps, for a barbell press. So bench press or shoulder press or incline press or close grip or whatever, I would say Smith machine, if it's your last option, use it, but otherwise avoid. Not ideal. Oh, one other for C tier. Oh, a couple others for C tier. I totally forgot a couple here. Wide grip bench. Wide grip bench is useful for really hitting your pecs out wide. The truth is, if you want to hit that, you'd be better off with a dumbbell press. And with wide grip presses, especially when you come up at the top, the chances that you pinch the outside of your hands on the rack are much higher. You either have to get someone to spot you, or you have to try and bring your hands in at the top after doing a set, which is kind of awkward. So in general, wide grip bench, not as useful as close grip bench to me. So Big Red Fro, to answer your question, you need a cable machine. It really depends on what workout you're talking about. So specify, please. Another one that I'm putting here is decline press. Decline press is fine. There's nothing wrong with it. You know, it's just as good in terms, if it's good at building explosiveness, but the trouble with decline press is that you may not necessarily have the machine available to you, or the rack available to you that often. And in terms of range of motion, right, the barbell bench press gives you more, the incline gives you more, and you don't really, if you're hitting, right, I don't usually do decline very much. If you're hitting barbell bench well enough, the lower part of your chest will get worked just fine. Decline press is, you know, it's not bad, but it's nothing amazing. Let's see here. Is there a way to... There we go. Okay. Wanted to try and keep it on one row just for now because it's easier that way. Other D tier exercises. All right. Push-ups. I do push-ups a lot, actually. The trouble with push-ups is that at some point they become too easy. At some point you're able to just knock off push-ups by the score, and it's like, okay, you know, I could sit here and do 100 of these, or 50 of these, or 75 of these, or I could, you know, hold it going down or whatever, but eventually it almost becomes cardio. You know, you can do clap push-ups or any variations, but ultimately, in terms of building chest explosiveness, you need to be doing a few, you know, fewer reps than that at higher weight or more resistance. And yeah, you can do weighted push-ups, but that's a pain in the ass to get the equipment for, and it may not necessarily be there. It's a lot easier just to find a bench press and use that. Push-ups can be useful though, especially if you're a beginner. There we go. Dumbbell flies. So there's nothing wrong with the chest fly with dumbbells, but I've already talked about why it's not. Oh no, I already did that for C tier. What am I doing? My bad. No, that wasn't. Oh, that's what. Wait. There we go. No, it was. Dumbbell tricep extensions. That's what it was. So you can do that same exercise with a cable that you can with a dumbbell, but the dumbbell's going to whack the back of your skull a lot of the time, or your upper, you know, the upper part of your back. And furthermore, right, having your hands together like this is going to be a lot more awkward than having them, you know, in a rope, with a rope grip or with a specialized cable grip. And it's also, in general, I find like I get a very good consistency from the cables on this one. I can control it a lot better on the cables. I just don't really tend to like these as much. So let's see here. Cable push downs. So doing these with both arms, I feel like you're really limiting your range of motion with the triceps push downs. There are better options. Skull crushers are better. If you were going to do push downs, do them with one arm at a time, because you can focus, isolate a lot better, and you can get the kickback with the double, unless you've got a really wide set of ropes, it's going to be hard to get that around your body to get the kickback function. Speaking of kickbacks, that's going in the F tier because kickbacks on their own just aren't worth. You're really only working a very small range of motion for triceps. I'm not a huge fan of them. I feel like there are so many better options for triceps to work than that one. Oh, another one here. The push press. So the push press is kind of like the decline, except for worse. The push press for your shoulders, it's basically, right, you're doing a dumbbell press and you're bending your knees to explode it up. Well, okay, you know, you can get the weight up, but it feels to me like it's ego lifting. Why are you using your legs in an exercise designed for your shoulders? If you really want to work a certain chunk of your range of motion like that, you're better off with a pin press than a push press because it still isolates. I am not a fan of the push press. It still will work, like you'll still get a good workout from it, but you're using your legs to do some of the hardest part of the lift, and that's suboptimal. So here, what other exercises do I have to talk about? Really aren't that many F tier exercises on here we go. For F tier, if you are bench pressing, and you'll see this occasionally on YouTube or even worse, TikTok, where you've got these people who they arch so much with their back that it's like this, you know, you can clear 6 to 8 inches from their spine, you know, to the bench press. While you could argue that in some arcane rules of competition, it's technically a bench press, what you're really doing is just dramatically cutting down on your range of motion, which is, to me, kind of dishonest, one. And two, you're better off just bench press less weight. Why are you trying to hurt your back? That's not necessary. If you really want to ego lift a little bit, do a decline before you do this. A little back arch is fine. A little back arch and a little leg drive, totally okay. Just don't go nuts with it. You don't need to be one of these people who are form Nazis either. You don't need to, you know, someone's got, you know, if their butt comes up a little bit on their last set on a super heavy set, don't go over there and say, oh, it doesn't count, bro. Won't be that guy. But at the same time, right, you know what excessive back arch is when you see it. You can, again, there's a lot of stupidity that happens in the gym. Don't be this person. Swallow your ego, swallow your pride. That reminds me of another one I really like. The Larson press. So the Larson press is the exact opposite of the excessive arch. You're on a bench press, and instead of using, it eliminates all leg drive. You can either bring your knees up and kind of curl them, right, and bench press like that, or you can, if you're really sadomasochistic, you can extend your legs outward and activate your abs to keep them sticking out during the exercise. The benefits to the Larson press are that it forces you to isolate. You cannot use leg drive. You cannot arch your back at all. So it definitely forces isolation. The downside is it's going to take away a little bit from that peak power, that peak explosiveness, because you're having to control your legs. Your legs are not on the ground. So because of that, you can also get a little bit left-right unbalanced a little bit easier. So it's not ideal to do a Larson press for every single set. I wouldn't say to do that. But every now and then, like if you're doing 3, 4, 5 sets of bench, make one a Larson set. Challenge yourself. There's nothing wrong with the Larson press. It's a good option. I like it. Do we have any others? Let's see here. Partial reps for bench press. I get this idea in theory. If your chest is really not as strong as your triceps, you just want to do this. But eventually, a lot of people will find that you do that for too long, and now you have the opposite problem. You can get up to here, then locking out becomes a trouble. And then, you know, if you want to do that, well, you can come down and just do partial reps like that. But to me, there's very little difference between a partial rep on bench and just not having very good form. So I'm not a fan. This is a pretty good list, though. I'm trying to think if there's any other chest exercises I have missed. Let me take a quick look here. Let's see, flip up press, side raises, bench press, incline press. Oh, dumbbell decline press. Okay, why would I put this in F tier? Well, the trouble with dumbbell decline press is, right, your declines, generally speaking, tend to be stronger than your flat bench or your incline press, right? However, with a flat bench or an incline press, right, you're seated upright at first, and then you can either, you know, lay down or you can sit back on it if it's an incline. With a decline press, you have to get up into the top little chunk of the apparatus, the seat, and then you gotta lay all the way down. The trouble with the dumbbell decline press then is that because it's a heavier weight and because it's in a decline press, you have to either get someone to spot you to do dumbbell decline press, or you have to try and haul the weights up, somehow get on the decline seat, and then roll all the way back, at which point, even if you're able to do that, you've exerted a bunch of energy doing that, and you're not going to be able to focus on the lift as much. So dumbbell decline press, it can be useful, but do you really want to have to use a spotter every single fucking set? I guess it should be D tier. It's still useful. It's not like an outright awful exercise. But I just wouldn't. To me, it's not worth doing. So I think this is a pretty good list. I gotta try and, there we go. Gotta make it a little bit smaller so it fits. Yeah, I am not the world's biggest fan of a lot of these things. Sort of partials, declines sort of feel a bit like gimmicks to me. Oh, I've got one other. Actually, there's a couple others. Machine chest press. So the machine chest press is in C tier. The reason it's in C tier is because some machines are excellent and some are terrible. In general, I prefer the hammer strength ones that just have it hinged on, you know, and they've just got plates, either laying down or seating up. But even then, those to me are not as good as a proper barbell bench press because, again, it's on a fixed range of motion. Sort of like a Smith machine, right? It's not quite as bad as a Smith machine because you don't have to worry about, you know, flicking your wrists up or back just to get it out of the rack. But in general, those are the best machine presses. The worst ones are F tier. There are some machine chest presses where you're just going like this, and it's like everything bad about a cable, but nothing good. It really restricts your motion to where it's substantially suboptimal. relative to a dumbbell bench, a cable fly, or anything of that nature. So machine chest press is in C tier because it's so variable. I think at best machine chest presses can be B to A tier, at worst they can be F tier. Really depends on what machine you've got. All right, do we have any push exercises I haven't covered? So I think those are about all the ones I do on a normal basis. I'm trying to think of any others. No, that's really about it. Thanks to whoever suggested this. It was insightful. Cookies and cream, I appreciate that. Well, if you guys would like another topic, you know, anything like this, fitness advice, you know, diet advice, personal finance questions, dating, philosophy, you name it, politics, people have asked about that, economics, write to me at askbullmuscle@gmail.com. Really, all I require is some form of payment. In other words, you can either pay me like, you know, $5-10, or you can just plug my YouTube channel on your social media. The reason I offer that is because I would like to see this channel grow a little bit. So it seems to me to be very fair. The reason I charge anything at all is because nobody listens to free advice. You give it out for free, people disregard it. And that pisses me off because it makes me feel like I'm wasting my time. But there you go. This here is pretty close to what I would say comprehensive push day, a comprehensive push day tier ranking list should be. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I have missed. I can't think of any exercises. If there's one or another that I forgot about, you know, you can also ask me on my Discord channel. So you type in !Discord. For those of you who aren't aware and you like spending more time with me, you'd like to talk to me off hours, Discord is a super useful way to do that. But either that or askbullmuscle@gmail.com. By the way, I also have new modeling pictures from the most recent modeling shoot. If you're interested in those, come talk to me. Write to me at askbullmuscle@gmail.com. We can set that up. They're not free, but they are quite high quality, and they leave very little to the imagination. So that, I believe, should be it for me today. Funny enough, I did leg day today, and I'll probably do the leg day tier list tomorrow. I've got push day tomorrow, and I did the push day tier list today. That's all right. Today was unfortunate. I wanted to do set a new PR, do a 20 rep set on squat for 335. I only got 17 today, so a little bit underwhelming there. But that's how the cookie crumbles sometimes. All right, that is going to be it for me today. Thank you all very much for watching, for those of you who have been here. If you really like this content, hit the like button, subscribe, tell your friends, hit that notification bell, come to my Discord channel and get the ping roll if you want to make sure you know when I'm live, because YouTube is fucking unreliable sometimes. Until tomorrow, though, make good decisions. Those good decisions form your actions. Those actions form your habits. Those habits form your values. Those values form an ethos to be the guide start through the rough waters of life. Much love, y'all. Come in for the hug. Shoots.